President Biden is drawing fierce criticism for his performance at a CNN town hall last night. Some even calling it a train wreck. It was, I watched. After he got angry, ridiculed Americans who don't want to get the COVID vaccine, and even said first responders and cops should get fired if they don't comply with his vaccine mandate.
Should police officers, emergency responders, be mandated to get vaccines? And if not, should they be stay at home or let go?
Yes and yes.
So let's be clear. The president believes officers like these, who came under sudden gunfire in Brooklyn responding to a 911 call and could have lost their lives in a split second, they should lose their jobs if they refuse to get vaccinated. The president went on and mocked Americans who don't agree with his vaccine mandate.
Those who just try to make this a political issue. Freedom. I have the freedom to kill you with my COVID. No, I mean, come on, freedom.
Tyrus, let's face the facts. I believe this is an anti-police president. If he was pro-police, he would have quelled the defund the police movement in his party. Instead, he basically enabled it, stayed silent on the matter for a while. And now it's not defund the police, it's drain the police with this Orwellian vaccine mandate.
Yeah. So, to be fair, there was football on last night, and there was also the NBA season started. So I'm going to say I did give it attention. I did tune in. Unfortunately, it was very similar to when I watch, like, my Red Sox are in the playoffs right now and watch them lose by 10 runs. There was a lot of this, you almost feel sorry for the president as he struggles to answer, and then you realize this is where we're at right now. He spoke to his best ability what he really thought. And we have defunded the police. We've lost a lot of good policemen and women to early retirements, to just basically moving on to other things. And now, if there was ever a job where taking your own life into your own hands and making decisions what's best for you, I think police officers, nurses, doctors should be allowed to make their own decisions. The idea that to fire them, not only that, make it sound like it's patriotic to fire somebody who wants to take their own chances, I think is about as un-American as it can get. But to be honest with you, even watching some of that, at some points, if you watch Anderson Cooper, he's almost trying to mouth the words to finish the sentence for the president. I'm not making it up. Watch it. And I don't like bashing the president of the United States, any president of the United States. But it's truly, the best way I could describe it was painful, and he's really out of touch with the American people. I'm sure his woke administration is very proud of themselves, undermining our president literally after he speaks to clarify because he wasn't clear enough. So I think we've probably seen the last of the town halls. Most certainly won't see it on different networks, but it didn't help him at all with anyone who was on the fence or was frustrated. If you love the president, it was just more of the same. But if you were looking for answers last night, you were better served watching the football game or the basketball game.
Yeah, and it was also an evening full of Whoppers. I don't mean the kind from Burger King. I mean full of lies. No. Because we've fact-checked it here at Fox. We can't find any evidence of President Biden having gone to the border. So why did he tell us this?
Do you have plans to visit the southern border?
I've been there before, and I haven't. I mean, I know it well. I guess I should go down, but the whole point of it is I haven't had a whole hell of a lot of time to get down. I've been spending time going around looking at the $900 billion worth of damage done by hurricanes and floods and weather and traveling around the world. But I plan on, now my wife Jill has been down. She's been on both sides of the river. She's seen the circumstances there.
Joe doesn't have time, but I have an idea for him, Harris. He's going to Delaware at 8 p.m. this evening for a vacation. Maybe divert Air Force One to the border.
You know, I thought last night was particularly sad. And you know, what Tyrus is talking about, it seemed like Anderson Cooper was put in, you know, a friendship role of trying to finish his sentences. At one point, you were talking about defund the police. The president couldn't even get out his own words about it. Anderson Cooper said, well, you've been saying you don't want to defund the police for quite some time. I mean, he actually had to throw him a talking points bone.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I guess you could call it a question. I didn't hear the inflection there. But I mean, what's particularly sad is that these issues are so tremendously important for all of us, including the people that he says he loves. You know, not everybody that Joe Biden knows lives in the White House.
Right.
Well, how do we know? Because he keeps going to Delaware. They don't live in the White House. So somebody he cares about lives outside the Beltway.
Yeah.
And they're no doubt at least having some of the ramifications of having a supply chain crisis, right? So, and you know, I know that everybody thinks a treadmill and a Peloton and all of that, and by everybody I mean the White House. You know, that's what we're all waiting for. Some people are waiting for feminine products and diapers and medicines and all sorts of things. But he does not live in the real world. But people that he knows and has access to actually do. So then the question becomes, is he listening? And can he apply what he's hearing and learning to real life? And we're not seeing that.
Yeah, well, he's not listening, Emily. One of my former aides texted me during this, oh my goodness, the White House staff is fact-checking Joe Biden. His staff.
Literally in real time. Okay, so Chad Gilmartin, which was the principal assistant press secretary under President Trump, tweeted this: White House staff was busy during last night's town hall, fact-checking their boss Biden in real time. Staff issued clarifications on a range of Biden's remarks, including on the supply chain crisis, to raising taxes, and even Taiwan. My favorite part, you guys, was like the comedy of that, you know, earnest, hardworking reporters would tweet out something like you're seeing here, Yamiche Alcindor saying, you know, President Biden says he would absolutely consider deploying the National Guard to help with supply chain issues. And then cut to, okay, so a White House official emails me this, requesting the National Guard at the state level is under the purview of governors. We are not actively pursuing the use of the National Guard on a federal level. This happened like 60 times. It was hysterical, except it's not a laughing matter that our commander-in-chief and president of the United States is absolutely this derelict with everything he says, not almost like he doesn't realize that he's the president.
He doesn't understand.
So he has no
That's
impact.
the
Morgan, let me get Morgan in here really
understand
quick.
it.
Morgan, you know, you've run a press shop as well. I mean, were you having to clean up things that Mike Pompeo said? I'm sure not. He always said things pitch perfect. Yeah.
No, and in fact, someone tried to do that once when we were overseas, and it was one of the more tense conversations I ever had. Listen, I've been meaning to write an op-ed about this. I haven't gotten around to it, so I'm just going to say it here. This president and his entire administration, they lack empathy, right? They don't stand up for the men and women that protect this country, whether you're talking about first responders, cops, or even the border police with the fake whip crisis last month. There's a lack of empathy for anyone who disagrees with them. There's a derisive attitude towards anyone who disagrees with them. And that lack of empathy, in my opinion, permeates all the policy decisions, foreign and domestic.
No doubt about it. He's not an empathizer in chief. We've learned that pretty well by now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.